Welcome to the shop. If you're like me, you've got a ton of stuff that you're charging all the time. For me, with all my cameras, my GoPros, my Sony, the drones, my transmitters, cell phone, we're charging stuff all the time. And I have gone out before and bought these kinds of blocks and said, this is going to be great. I'll be able to charge stuff. And it does charge. But boy, it takes a long time. And that's because, it's not putting out enough power to charge things quickly. And it's fine if I leave things overnight. Charging up a GoPro camera is fine, but sometimes I need it to go a little faster. So then I have this option here, which is an old power supply. I have a computer with USB-C on it, and it works okay, but it's a little bulky. You got one of these little cubes, and these don't put out much power at all. They're fine if you're overnight charging, let's say your cell phone, but Then I got this. Ruko sent this to me, which is a nice, compact, small block that pumps out 65 watts. 3 different ports. Well, not different, but somewhat different based on the power. The USB-A is about 18 watts, and the combination of the USB-Cs is 65 watts, depending on how many things you're plugging in at the same time. A couple things I like about it, I've played with it quite a bit so far, is that it is compact. I can put this in my kit, and I don't have a whole bunch of cables all over the place. It's compatible with everything I have. And, with using the right cables, like quality USB-C to USB-C 100-watt cables, not the cheap stuff, I can charge up some of my devices pretty darn quick. Look, a lot of different options for us on charging gear. But I will say that having a quality power supply like this makes the job a little bit easier. So I'm going to go through, test a couple of these things, charge up some gear, and talk about it. Doing a quick test, charging my lights. These are my lights that I use for while I'm filming. They're both zeroed. I just ran them dry. And now I have them charging. One using this 65 watt charging block from Ruko. The other one is just my standard USB setup. Let's see how that works. So I just did a real quick test, like I mentioned, to get these lights charged up. And it definitely took more time to charge up these lights with this setup versus the fancy 65 watt little charger unit here. Now, I think, truth be told, I think this might not be the best test because there are some limitations to how much this device right here can take as an input. And if in this particular case says 5 volts, 3 amps, this is probably putting out close to 5 volts, 3 amps. So is this at that level. It's not going to push more. Where we really get into it is when you start charging up some GoPro batteries or some larger battery systems that can take a higher voltage amp rating. And that's where I think this little package here can really save you. Because I could plug 2 in there, charge up multiple, and it's still going to be more power than this because this maxes out at, I believe, 3 amps. So from that standpoint, this little device definitely is handy to have, and it just made me realize that I can charge things much faster if I'm using the proper power supply and the proper cabling. These cables right here are rated for 100 watts, where some of these cables you get, they're not rated for that. So think about that when you're going through and charging some of your stuff. Look, there are so many options out there on how to charge your stuff. If you have unlimited time and you're not in a hurry and it's not a big deal, then you can go with these low-cost, inexpensive USB kind of deals. They work, but they take a while. But on some devices that can take more output and they're smart the way they do it, that's where something like this really comes in handy. A lot of documentation on this, and there's information right here. You can't read it, but it tells you all of the power levels that it'll have, whether you have one device plugged in to one of these ports or all three are used at the same time. Kind of gives you a heads up on how that works. Convenient little tool from Ruko. It's going to be something that I have in the wall all the time to charge up my stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.